father, he's been a brother, he's been a friend.
Apostle Ofe Ankrabedu ye Onyankopon nipa complete.
Ayobia ye beka say affable, accommodative, menyana anka meni na atraso. May God richly bless him.
We are so grateful, Apostle. God richly bless you for such a wonderful leadership you have shown to us.
It has been very wonderful working with men. And men are very unique in God's estimation. In God's entire framework of life, men are central and very key to whatever God is doing.
Apostle Emmanuel Ofe Ankrabedu served as the director of the men's ministry of the Church of Pentecost PEMEM from 2016 to 2020. PEMEM, the men's ministry of the Church of Pentecost, exists with a mission to build a total Christian man who is committed, spirit-filled, and strong in Christian character to positively impact the family, the church, and the community. He is married to Rosina and blessed with 6 children. In 2001, Elder Emmanuel Ofe Ankrabedu, now apostle, was called into full-time ministry of the Church of Pentecost. After his seminary training, he was posted to Jumapo district in Eastern Region and served till 2004, where he was appointed as traveling secretary in charge of the schools in Northern Sector. In 2008, he was called to mission and was posted to Kenya as national head, where he served till 2015. He was called and ordained into the office of apostle in 2013. Between 2015 and 2016, he was transferred to Winneba as the area head, and then appointed to serve as the director of the men's ministry of the Church of Pentecost later in 2016. Here is Apostle Emmanuel Ofe Ankrabedu, who talks about his 4 years of service as PEMEM director.
Working with men, it dates back to our time in Kenya as missionaries. Because when you look at the statistics of the church, membership of men in Kenya is higher than most of the other jurisdictions. And these men are largely made of the Maasais. In Maasai, men are allowed to have freedom of association, relation, and other things more than women. So it came also not as a surprise that men were many in the church in Kenya. And we started learning about men and how they do their stuff right from there. We left Kenya in 2015 and we were posted to Winneba as the church record state. In Winneba, we stayed for just a year and then we came to this office as director for PEMEM. It was a surprise, but some people say it was a pleasant surprise. I really love working with men. There have been 4 other leaders or directors ahead of us. Men's ministry historically was established by the church in 1991, and our first leader as a men's leader, national leader, was Apostle Ladijo. After him came Prophet Ebenezer Apiejekum. We had our first director in the person of Apostle Nene Aholu Amegache. After him came Apostle Asantiaye. And under him, I have learned from the records I came to meet that our first study guide was published, where the topics which were put in place by Apostle Magache and the other leaders were now actually put in order in a way that can be handled in a class. What I rather find out was that though the book has been published, it was not being used much in the various classes as expected. Well, we did some updates on the document and then we tried to increase the publication. And we also drew an outline, making sure that it will be used effectively in every class. One thing I cannot overlook is the executive members that we came to work with. We call them the National Executive Committee. I had my deputy in the person of Dr. Ebenezer Nyako, who is a lecturer at the K University. And then I had my secretary as Elder Steve Jabba, who is also a secretary to the Ghana Surveyors Council. And we have other executive members in the presence of Pastor Joseph Kweku, Pastor J.K. Agbemo, Pastor Hoshi Akume, Elder Nana Jesse, and also there was a need for a co-opted member for some reasons for some time. So we had one Elder Nana Usu who was also working with us. Now this team, in fact, we were like a family, because we started work with prayer and retreats, personal ones for the initial months, and that took us to our first retreat place at. We went to Takwa, to be precise. We went for, so that we'll be far away from Accra. We went for a 5 days prayer and fasting retreat. Takwa gave us a good platform for a takeoff, because after our retreat, we had our first meeting with the area leaders and then the other leaders in the region, in fact the entire region, the western region, where we held our first businessmen's forum. And we had speakers like Dr. Yaweboa and other speakers from the Takwa Gold Mines and others, who really came to challenge the audience with why men should do business God's way. After Takwa, we made our way to the eastern region, and we were hosted by the Fijuase area. In the eastern region, we brought all the leaders in the region together at Fijuase Central. And we thank God that one of the people who welcome us is the current chairman, Apostle Larry Namiche, who was then the area head for Kofodia. He came all the way to the Fijuase Central to welcome the participants and encourage us that yes, men, now you can see, men, we are on the move. And in Kofodia Fijuase, it was another wonderful something, because we were able to learn things from the other areas, those from Magubenya area, for instance, the things that they were doing that has not come into the limelight, and others from our front plains. These are two areas who had some things some of them didn't know that they were doing. And maybe subsequently, as I continue my discussion, we see how that led us to visit those areas and see for ourselves what was happening on the ground. We saw that given the 4-year period that we have, if we don't partition our work well, we may not finish before our time. So we try to draw a plan which will help us to at least visit every area before our tenure comes to an end. And as I speak now, graciously and to the glory of God, we have been able to visit every single area in Ghana, maybe apart from Sekribekwai and Asankregwa. These two areas had some challenges with our calendar. Anytime we plan to visit, it's like it coincided with either a rainy season or something. And I can recall Axim is also part of it. These three areas always have challenges with our calendar. And maybe we can make it up. If not, maybe the one who is taking over from me will make sure that he targets those areas, maybe as his initial place of visit. The men like to see their director visiting them, seriously. And anytime we visit, we're able to share with them personal challenges that they are having concerning ministry, concerning marriage, concerning work. And as they learn from us, we also learn from them.
Smafo Ankrabedu okuta perfect human relationship. Ni nipa nkita hudi a wo ni nipa wo no eyefe papa se obi betumi atwa no a na ne nipa no de so yire ne ho ha oni nipa nkita hudi no eye pa na fe wo de adwuma nso hye ne nsa se onya owo passion, zeal and love for the work ha adwuma bi a de be hye ne nsa te se PEMEM wode nakoma na hoden na dwen ne do wado adwuma no ama se enye nyame adwuma ne ye kan ka ebeka se onto aso kra kakra maye enkosi the next term na fe ye hu se osomafo no owo organizational ability se eba adwuma ye wudi bibi hye ne nsa na onye ho ntotoye a otumeto to ma ne ye fe enti ya ye conferences bebre ya ye Bezeria conference ne Royal conference na ne de no ne bre mu de no hu se dance osomafo ye innovative ade a eni ho no nyame tumi fa no so ma eba ono ne bre so ene nyame fa no so ma sa Bible reading ni eba no ba yin so no wa ye no be 4 times a hu se amanyame asem no ewure nipa nso kondo se obekan nyame asem na osomafo ye very prayerful senti America ne sa ne se hu se wa organize bibi e frɛ no men on their knees etumre bi apememfo ni nyina ko hia baabi for 7 days prayer and fasting na omo wia anwumre no omo de aye crusade me hu bi wo pememu da na eno no eya ade soronko bi a wabeya apagya pemem adwuma no pa ade bi mu a mehu se waye ewo ne mfie na animu no ministry bi anye bi ene se yenya pemem nyom yenya pemem abon edamufua obia ni ho a mehu se watumi ayesa abon no ama yenya pemem enwom eno na fe wa be improve pemem no pa kane no ka se man no bi esre ka se man no bi esre ne no ka se man no bi ajeso the image and glory of God na ni omo dia baye de kura yesipi yesita yenimto yenimtua yenje nsesa ama pemem no aya akono
apostle Ankrabedu adwuma waye de aboa onyankopon ene PEMEM ewo Ghana hampo bitumi aka Pentecost aso mu nyina we adwuma yefo papa na ohwe ne commitment ni si lusi dopem adwuma na emama ka se wa from Prince Obaho as PEMEM director on ni team by na yenyom ho faso papa nukreni me di fie na wa from Prince na from Prince ho kono de kakrenti enu se directors no wo mama hosa nenso so PEMEM director sanse opadwuma no na opesu uduru ba bia nti oba ho na ba oba ye no eye mfaso kese papa ema ye ediani je ba edi nkranhye eba PEMEM no ma PEMEM je wo afram place no esaka so anu bio enchechrom de ba e kire memma wasede ene adwumade a woso ye ene opportunities ana wo ho ma memma wo se yesum ne yade se hono dodo na ye kuafo ehun nim de ode ba ne se de wo so bia ba na fom na adwuma oya amfaso beba obechecha fi ebre time management nso ombecheche se de ye de ebre be ye adwuma na fi so omo beche aware so se be ma ne yire ne nebusia betna kama na wohwe se de afram print yishia in zones no nya bre ko ba ma don kokrum no ko ma me kro ne se de memma no eboje so na eye ni gisem kese pa bi fi ho no hu se ma PEMEM necessary eba PEMEM wo afram print.
Now touching on Vision 2020, as part of our trainings we included things like financial management, marriage, health, and that kind of thing. So wherever we go for training, if there is a need to talk on finances, we try to get a banker who will really speak in that way to participants. And we learned a lot of things which I didn't know myself about investment and savings and other things men could do. And men were encouraged. Seriously, if we are having statistics to prove, many who were not investing or were not actually saving at that time all started investing. And there are proofs how things are going on very well for such men. Now, as part of our vision, we also emphasized on agriculture and environment. And wherever we went, we really sought for the district agriculture officers or those who are in charge of agric in that jurisdiction to really help us and talk to the region or to that location, maybe the crops and then the land nature and then how farming can be done to maximize profit, the right way. And here I wish I remember all their names. The agri officers were very helpful, especially that one in the north, because when we went to the north, we have to visit all the three northern regions, from Tamale to Wa, then to Bolga. And this man, who was not even our member, was willing to go with us to all these regions. So in this my presentation, I wish we will acknowledge the assistance that these agri officers gave us. Especially the one I can recall is one Mr. Bako in the Tamale area, who was working in the agri office. In places where we went, we couldn't get direct agri officer. We used the forest commission officers, and they're also very helpful. Now, as a ministry, we had other areas that we claim are our areas of concern. For instance, we did other things for the hospitals and clinics of the church, and also we were able to establish a micro managing business administration. We call it micro MBA. Graciously, we were able to establish something the church leadership has really accepted, the Bible Day Marathon. Maybe you have heard of it, which we felt is something men should do. And then other things that maybe as we go along, we'll be sharing. And I believe as men, we will rise to the occasion. And whatever challenges that come our way, we will use it to establish ourselves as God's image bearers, as people, as individuals that God created us in His own image and likeness. And as we go along that route, we believe God will be glad in heaven, humanity will be blessed, and we ourselves will be encouraged.
Ankra Bedu, apostle, wayade. Nanadi ya waye ni nyina ejana nkasa na abosu. Nanadi ya minim dada abia oye student wa PTC ekwapim ekropon training college mu. Na mehun se oye very proactive. Eche se obi a oye owo insi ye. Se yebeka 90 ye tuni dia yebeka no nkoso ohene. Ne se adwuma na mehu wo no eso mani na ono an odi ebewura PEMEM adwuma mu a waye ne mfi anan na mmarema wowa asori no mu no wapie ho no ekokan nti metumi maka se no nkoso adwuma no odi bewura PEMEM mu mfi anan ya oye se adwuma yi na yakahye awrade anim nyam se odi ebi abakania won a wodi kan no wodi dwumadi anim de baka ho na ade a me de esomani kakra pa me baka ni se anka yemu ayakọ retirement di eji etenechiri na egbegbe he nani ye de hwade nani nsiye na sania obo homodi nti wa menye no so yenya enije pa ye de ta PEMEM edwuma yi echi nti wa beboa onyame ni nimpa wa yade koso saa na ye edwuma no kosi ase na onyame ankasa be hye ne di na nyam.
I recall when we came to office, one of the problems on the table was our day of meeting. And when we visited the areas, one of their complaints was every ministry or movement has a day of meeting. But PEMEM, we don't. I told them wherever I went that instead of fighting over days of meeting, let us find something doing that will become meaningful, beneficial to people. So we started this week as setting example from the national level. And when we did that, we were expecting the areas also to pick up from us. So from the national level, we adopted the ward at Pentecost Hospital. In fact, the process was in place even before I came. So the adoption of the emergency and children's ward was done by PEMEM. We followed up this adoption with presentations, an annual presentation. So in 2017, with the help of one Elder Anson from the Ansoman area, we were able to donate some hospital equipment and other things we heard the hospital needed. We followed this adoption with annual donations. So we were able to do some donation in 2017, and then another one in 2018. Well, apart from that, we felt PEMEM could do other things to help its members, especially the men, by way of providing job and other things. So through a discussion we had with one of our elders, Odenoho Afram Brempong, the Suma Mahine, who really linked us up with a firm in South Africa. We were able to begin something we have called the micro MBA, micro managing business activities. And we have run training for leaders at the national level on 2 occasions. We did that so that we could cover all the leaders from the areas. We saw that man is not just work. Man is also a prayer tool. So we initiated something we intended to do every year. We call it a prayer festival, where we bring all the leaders in the areas together at one place. Graciously, the first one was hosted by Techiman area. So these are a few things that PEMEM has been doing outside our meeting days. And the good thing is that, for instance, this micro MBA, the adoption and other donations, other areas pick up from there. And from the reports that we were receiving, other areas were doing donations to facilities that were in their jurisdictions. And that is very, very encouraging. But it took off from the national level.
Not the year ewo Christo Sumuno edanso. Na nyamia mana wisdom, nyansa, and then nyamia mano ahumbrasiye, dio humility. Papa na de ye no ye ne start ye ono beto ye. Na ye ne start ye ne hu se nyamia dua bibi sonko bi ewo ni. Edi me hu se ya apostle ofe ankra bedu so wo kwa ni fie nan no yesesa no a na ye de na kọ baby as area header na o deserve o start ya no de BRM bae Bible reading marathon na o hwe ne sa no na de ye boko but ni su ban a nyame de ama no no hu se nyame atini mu. And now you be a hard working man and a hard working apostle. I didn't think I make say. The guy say, "Ye share you man yourself from na ye chini. Ye free ha na ye koha, ye free ha na ye koha, ye free ha na ye koha. Baby, I be ko bia wo niema sunku bia qualities bia nyame fa no so. Ama PEMEM enya no nyam. Anya hwe kura ye hu say ne bre yisui PEMEM asesa kura asesa wayen spiritual ana asesa wayen physical ada na make asa otimi bie ko hye ba bi bompa yesa papa panmu ati say otimi bompa yesa na otimi say nyame efa ne mu review niema e de kire yen hu hwe kura no ye hu say anytime enia bebebre koso PEMEM apeja na ni onyama peja.
One of our flagship projects, if I may call it, is our Bible reading marathon. It is something personally we are very much in love with. We started that reading marathon of the Bible in Nairobi, Kenya, Tasia Church in particular. And we found out that it was something, let me say, there's something mysterious about the Bible that we don't know. It's continuous reading for a long period of time. It really affects our mind and our way of life. We carried out one also in Winneba, our 1 year stay there. But when we shared with the leadership at PEMEM, they embraced it. And right now, like you may know, it has become acceptable by the church. That every year during the Bible Week celebration with Bible Society of Ghana, we run Bible reading marathons. We started at the national level before Sutherland back, I can recall, in 2017. and then it continued also through all the areas. As I speak now, almost every area, maybe just a few, every area now conduct Bible Day Marathon during the Bible Week celebration. And it is fantastic. One of the things we also came to meet is the Bezalel Conference, which we decided to continue with the permission of leadership. The Bezalel Conference brings men all over the country together. And if I say all over the country, they come with their representation because the numbers cannot come together in one place. So once every 3 years, Bezalel Conference is held at the national level. And during our 10, we've been able to host, I think 2 of them, which has been very, very, very helpful. And alongside, we had a collaboration with the Embassy of Israel, especially when during one of our Bezalel conferences, we touched on the need of agriculture. Graciously, one of the speakers for that conference was a woman who was in charge of Israel economic affairs. She was just overwhelmed by what is happening at PCC and all that she learned. And she decided to partner with PEMEM and in fact with the church when it comes to agriculture inputs. Right now we have earmarked a big land at Afram Place where we want to do a demonstration farming with this collaboration.
Pepe oye eja o abadaye odo ene ntiasipa ewo no mu be ye mfie nan ya me ne ebom ye adwuma no oda ne ho di a kire yankasa se oye eja ade ba ko a mehu no ho pa ne se oye adwuma ye ni yankasa wo mmere ama obia se mpanyifo ya ye ka no ho a ye adwuma yi wotumi frɛ ebisa ya adwen ɛwɔ niema ba ko mienu ho a ɛne akwan a ye betumi afa so na adwuma a ye ye no na ye betumi aye ne yie ɔwɔ brebi a wotumi de ba sɛ ye nyina mbom na ye nsoso ho ɛnhwɛ sɛ ebetumi aboa bemako no na bemako no etumi akokan ampani apa papayi menyana anka wotena so daa
Britia yene osmafo akrabedu ya adwumade hu se oye nyame nipa odo nipa afi oka nipa eka no ho oye obi a ye beka se affable, accommodative, just unassuming oba na in church a okitan church papa. He knows the word of God. Na o manya me asema hu se osmafo ni.
He is much interested that the PEMEM should be working out very well at every local assembly. And then his leadership training that he used to organize for the locals or the areas every year, going around the country, visiting the various areas, imparting them with the appropriate topics that he wants to impart into each and every man. And in fact, during his time, we also get to know that men are gatekeepers. And in every man, there is a boy, there is a priest, there is a husband, and there is a father, and there is a leader in every male child.
We were privileged also to host a training for drivers. We partnered with the National Road and Safety Commission to run a training for drivers. In fact, we started with the drivers at the head office, area head drivers and other head office drivers. And our real intention is to really move from one area to another area.
Mele Apostle and Krabi doing driver. Melanti by 4 years. And who's all a Yamilimpa say, I can say obey a Yamilimpa, lying Chaseo. sɛ na adeɛ nyinaa no ɛkyerɛ sɛ ɔyɛ nimpa bi a ɔdwe nimpa ho ɔboa nimpa na wɔn ne nante so a ɔdwene sɛ wo ahoɔden a wɔn ne yɛ adwuma no ɔdwene wo ho na ɔsan so yɛ nimpa bi a sɛ wɔn ne ɛrekasa a ɔtie wo deɛ na ɔne wo asusu deɛ ɛsɛ sɛ yɛyɛ sɛ wo deɛ na ɛyɛ a na wafa sɛ ɔno nso ne deɛ na ɛyɛ a na wafa yɛba ne sɛ mmoa fa mu a mmoa a ɔde aboa yɛn no a yɛntumi nka ɛsɛ sɛ na yɛnninda sɛ yɛbɛtumi anya saa mmoa no ɛfiri ne hɔ na nam nafotu kakra a ɔde tu he na yɛtie na ne mmoa kakra a ɔde ma yɛn nti ama sisi a no ɛtumi abɛdu ne bi a yɛdi.
One other area which we came to meet is the conference for the royals, which has already been initiated by my predecessor, also through the initiative of our past chairman, Apostle Professor Kogonyina. And the motivation here was to take Christ into the palace, making Christ felt in the palace. And during our time, we have hosted 2 of them. It is both royals and executive. And when we talk about executive, it is in connection with people who are working in government organizations as heads of departments and ministries and that kind of thing. And these 2 people are brought together in a week, the royals and executive conference. The chiefs come with their queens for a couple of days, and it's followed up by the executives, which includes some politicians. And from their own testimony, these conferences have been very, very helpful to them.
We were asked to serve from 2016, and that was my first experience with PEMEM. And fortunate to have our Apostle Emmanuel Ofei Ankrabedu as our director. And when we resumed office, it was a very huge task for me as a busy person. I spent only half or 1/3 of the year in Ghana, and I've been appointed to be a secretary for this big ministry, PEMEM. And to work with Apostle was a very big task. I saw myself working with this man, Apostle, as a huge burden. But in the first meeting, the way he conducted the meeting and with the slogan he used when he said something, that built a new hope that it is something that the work that can do it. And that encouraged the work that we have done and we have achieved so far. Honestly, he brought a big innovation to PEMEM. Even though I worked with youth ministry some years ago, I saw the ministry because of the way he conducted the meetings, the innovations that he brought. And I remember one day when he said we are come to do a program called Bible Reading Marathon. I know we were doing marathon, which it was Milo marathon that we ran. But what's the meaning of Bible Reading Marathon? After sitting down with us, expressing how it's going to be done, and we said, wow, this is a big innovation. And indeed, the first one was a challenging for us. But after going through the consequences years that we started doing it, indeed, it has been a major and a very fruitful program that today, as we speak, other churches has embraced it. And the recent one we did before Apostle is going to hand over, when we invited the president of the state to come, and he couldn't come, he picked a phone and called Apostle. And I can tell you how far the man has taken the ministry, where the president of Ghana can even pick a phone and call and apologize that I could not come and read my verse in the Bible. So it shows that the Bible Reading Marathon has become a very big and innovative program that has enlightened the ministry. Also, he brought a new program we call MBA. MBA is about teaching any ordinary person how to do business and do it well, that you will never lose a peso on your business. And we train many people in the church. And now a lot of men has embraced this program, that people can call today and say, Apostle, meaning that I've worked and I've not lost money. So we see this program from Apostle into men ministry as a huge thing. He also introduced a program, we call it Joseph Project, where Apostle is looking at if men are able to be sustainable and keep the house, maybe this nation will also grow well. And also, the last thing he did in recent times was the Father's Day. The kind of innovation that he brought, where he managed to push our fathers and spread them across the country to go and preach on the Father's Day. And it was so lovely. I saw from the face of some apostles, like Apostle Bedwood, going to Koforidua to preach. He was so excited. Even GS, 3 days before the time, he told everybody in the office that the Apostle Director, PEMEM, has sent me to go and celebrate the Father's Day. So he even left the office earlier before the day. So things like this has brought a lot of innovation, and it's because of his leadership quality. It has brought everybody on board, and that has been so good. We are so appreciative with Apostle. We are going to miss him, and we know he's not going far. Wherever he's going, we believe that he will be a shadow worker with us, and we'll still cooperate with him, and then other things that is left in him that we have not been able to achieve. We believe that the incoming leaders will be able to tap into that one, and then we use to develop or move the ministry into a higher level. We are so grateful. Apostle, God richly bless you for such a wonderful leadership you have shown to us.
The Joseph Project is something I would say is the initiative of the National Executive Committee. We felt that if we are serious with this agriculture thing that I'm talking about, then there must be a blueprint, there must be a structure through which we can do it. And in Joseph Project, there are things that we have put in place, like the acquisition of land, how we can have a common crop in one location, and then how we can do what we call the value chain, whereby as I produce cassava, I know where I'm going to sell it as I produced it. And we were really looking forward to Ghana, where all the regions are associated with a particular crop. I can recall we visited Odan area, and just as we were passing, we had to make a stop when we saw the Blue River. I've lived in Odan for some time, and that river was serving a very good purpose. But that day I was sad because the river has turned something else. And with the engagement of the locals, they told us mining, the wrong way of mining, which has gained a nice name, Galamsey, is going on there. It may be beyond us, maybe because we are not in government, but the men who are doing these things are our members, or at least some are our members, or some are living with some of these people. So we decided to take interest and advise the men that if God says we should work, it doesn't mean just every work. It must be a work that God approves, not destroying the environment. I can also recall our visit to Prisia when we were crossing the Ankobra. Is it Ankobra? That one was worse than the dream, because that one we saw with our eyes, people really in action, and when you talk to them, it's like, it is not your business. It is not your business. And here we are appealing to those men, brothers and sisters, especially church members who are in that vicinity, to be speaking about this. Continue from where we left off, and encouragement that there are better avenues of work, like the farming that I'm talking about, better avenues of work, instead of just destroying the environment for our selfish ends. We really want to appreciate all the area leaders who took these things serious and are impacting their members in the various districts and locals to really carry out what have been initiated from the national office.
I have been privileged to have worked with Apostle Ankrabedu. Indeed, our relationship started from 2016 when he was appointed as the men's ministry director. And for me, he's been a father, he's been a brother, he's been a friend. And it started all the way from Pensa in the 90s. We have been friends ever since. But in ministry, we became so close, and the Lord through him has really blessed the church, has blessed the ministry, and has blessed those of us who work with him at the executive committee level. One of the things that I do remember about him is that for him, he's very, very affable. He is down to earth, and he relates with everybody. And sometimes, when we go for meetings, he will not even tell you whether you're going to minister or not, but he'll be there, he'll tell you, you have to minister this morning. And he really gave us the military perspective of, the ministry, because you have to be prepared at all times. And it really helped me, because when I'm coming for NEC meetings, I have about 5, 6 sermons already. So anytime I have something to share with the people of God. We were fortunate to have had him establishing a lot of initiatives in the church, including the Bible reading marathon, which was something that was so great. And I believe that we need to conscientize people about the Word of God and reading the Word of God in public places. That is what the Word of God tells us to do, and it is something that I really admire and bless God for his life, for this vision. Again, we have through his work, we have been able to go through all the other regions with micro MBA, leadership training, and I'm trying to build the capacity of our members. And I believe that a lot of people have really benefited from this, sending the message down to the people, going to the district, going to the locals, going to the areas. It's been fantastic, and we want to bless God for this achievement so far. When we meet together in our meetings, Director is somebody who will even go down to earth, share jokes with all of us. And then sometimes he would even laugh so much that all of us become infectious with the laughter. And I think it is something that we will be missing, But we believe that he's made a lot of impact in the life of men's ministry. He's brought men's ministry really forward, and it was always action. The Lord who started the good work with him in PEMEM will also carry him to his new station, which is Tema area. May God bless us all. Amen.
We thank God that men can sing. Many times when it comes to singing, we just leave it for the women. But men can sing, and sometimes we can sing better. And we thank God that during our time, we were able to bring some men together to sing. Those songs were songs received by men themselves. And anytime I talk about singing by men, the reason why my heart is so gladdened is the example our former chairman gave us. He's a man, and he can sing, and he receives songs. And we encourage the men that if God has used one person to produce so many songs, why not us? So as we toured the areas, we encourage the men to bring all the songs that they have got, and we put them together. And as I speak right now, we have our CD, our maiden CD, which carries about 22 of men songs, which we call PEMEM tunes. We are happy it really came into being, because now when we meet in our classes, we have something that we can call our own. Some for worship, some for praise, some for prayer. And I pray that these things will go everywhere and encourage men, even those who are not our members, because as we sing, we connect with our Creator.
Apostle Faye is more or less my brother. We knew each other from our teenage, and we've been together ever since. So I know him more than probably anyone can describe him. When I heard that he was coming to serve in this office as the director for Pentecost Men's Ministry, he had then been in Winneba. I think it was for about 1 year or so. And he was being transferred to this office. I was then in my office here as the director of Children's Ministry. And I knew we were going to share much camaraderie because we had not seen each other for some time. And it was no wonder when he came and assumed office, he started straight on. And you could see that he was going to be a catalyst for a big change in the ministry. And I say to the glory of God that all interested persons will bear witness that God has immensely used Apostle Faye in the ministry of men's ministry to a very high extent.
Nkrofo a odi omo mano a omo kan ho a omo ye adwuma. In fact, omo ye good team. They love whatever ono ye leader no so pe. Omo pempaibo. Baby omo ne ko bia me hu say is the unity omo ina kan won hu bo mu no. Eno na ede ensakraye kese aba PEMEM. Wo hia won a wo hu say we nya wunua ana we cry yourself for ana say they are all one. Na in fact ene de wo ka say ye hwe PEMEM na ya san hwe ne say de na ye ba na PEMEM ti a PEMEM emu ayede if you home you hu asofo na me say eye PEMEM na almost the ajeme PEMEM.
Having him as the men's ministry, I was privileged to also work with him alongside. So working with your dad as a director and then being a daughter who is also acting to be a secretary at the same time after being interviewed for that. During those times, I saw his timely submission of works when given. I mean, especially with the reports, we didn't know how he had to compile them from the other PEMEM area leaders and all, put them together and then have it submitted on time and all. It gave us room to know what the whole men's ministry was about. Through the ministry, he has been able to be better off than he was before. Early on, he's a well-organized man, but he being in the ministry, I realized the level of organization has gone a bit further.
So me muhu wadano de no wata tukwan. But it's what to kwana oba ehunde enje pa bana kumu. Ayo tumi here share do hunde sisan ba me yimfun hona abrabo mu pa. Nta o me de bia no we nje.
So daddy prayer wise, I mean we are always praying at home, always praying. Devotions, there are some things that are not questionable. I mean, it's not now that you have to think of it. Things like devotion, things like dawn prayers, things like evening prayers, things like family meetings, regular, standard, on time. If it's an hour, it's an hour. If it's prayer, we are praying. All those things by God's grace, And so that God help. God now that is going to Tema. Yeah, and now the focus is not just on men. Now the focus is on the entire congregation. So I believe this is a bigger platform. I believe, to shift the focus and now concentrate on everyone and the need that they will individually need. And I think God is also going to help. I mean, He has already overcome everything, as the Bible says. So we believe He will help. By the grace of God.
Sumafo. Say kapa. Nanka ebeka say anka dwumadi. Onto asoma yen na ya don na onu so wado yen ubenyi ache oji obia tum ohumro ya obeka achiro eno nkyerese bia na oyiwa kwa na emum bibia madwuma no nkoso de obeka achiro se na akra ade de ankoyi no wafro afei yɛka teamwork a ɛno nso ɛna fam yɛ wakra ha deɛ biribi a ɔbɛyɛ bia a ɔbɛfrɛ yi mommrɛ ne yɛnwene wɔ yɛ ho mommrɛ ne yɛnwene wɔ yɛ ho na ɛno nso ɛboa madwumadie no ɛkɔ so ɔka leaders nyinaa hyɛ ne mu hyɛ ne yam sɛ ne mma baako sɛ ɔyɛ kandifoɔ dwumadie kɛseɛ baako a papa yi ɔne pɛnti bi ka bɔ mu ma ɛne mmakuo ka bɔ mu a yɛyɛ paa ɛne aduane pa ɛma apɔmuden hwɛ mmarima ne mma a yɛdi aduaneyɛ ho akansi ɔdi baabi a na mmarima yɛtu wɔm ɛtu mmaa no ɛdi baabi nso a no nso mo akyerɛ wɔn bɔbere kakra ne nyinaa no ɛma mmakuo no mu bɛyɛ nika na Awurade nhyira no ne yere ma Rose ne mma no nyinaa Awurade nhyira wɔn na ɔma no adom nkɔ so yɛ kɛse ɛwɔ no so yɛ ka ne sɛ yɛni aso yɛda no ase aka nipa pa a ɔdi ma yɛn sɛ mmarima ɛkuo ɛwɔ Asɔre Church of Pentecost yɛda no ase Yesu di nti amen.
At this juncture, we can agree with Jesus in his parable about the workers, that after we have done what we were commanded to do, we should say we are unworthy servants. We have just done what was required of us. We want to give God the glory for all that he has helped us to achieve in this short time. We wish we have more time, but time is not a luxury. And as we thank God, we recall the help that he has given us through other people, because God actually worked through people. We want to acknowledge the great help we receive from our current chairman, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, and the Executive Council. And I can mention the help of Apostle A.N.Y. Kumilabi, our General Secretary, and our IMD. They have been involved in all our planning before their final execution. I'd also like to acknowledge the help given to us, PEMEM as a whole, by our Apostle Professor Pokonyina, the immediate past chairman, and his Executive Council. They have been marvelous. You know, it was during their tenure of office that we were brought into office. And we want to thank them for the confidence they reposed in us, and bringing us from maybe very far to this office to do something for God, and especially for the men's ministry. We are grateful to him. With the mention of Apostle Professor Opokonyina, I think I will do well to mention Apostle Dr. Michael Ntumi. It was during his time that I was called into ministry, and I want to thank him for also the confidence he reposed in me, and helping God's work to go on even through our ministry. God bless him wherever he is, and the family. Talking about my coming to ministry brings to mind the great work done by Prophet James Osei Aminiampong. He was my district pastor at the time I was being called into ministry. And he really gave me a grounding, if I can say that. Because before I came into ministry, I was thinking that if you're a pastor, you can't be objective, you can't speak your mind. But when he became my district pastor, I saw that you can be a pastor and still speak your mind, especially if it is in accordance with the word of God. And I want to thank Joe, as I call him, and the family, Mama Georgina, and all of them for having that confidence and bringing us into ministry. Talking about our work in PEMEM, I have to appreciate the work we have done. Not just me, I'm using we, because the NEC has been fantastic. And when I talk about the NEC, I'm talking about the National Executive Committee who worked with me, or who I worked with. And here I want to mention my deputy, Elder Dr. Samuel Nyakon. You know, he's a lecturer and lives in Kumasi, but he has never been absent from any of our NEC meetings since I came into office. And for my indefatigable secretary, Elder Stephen Tejaba, he has been like a brother, and he has been very, very helpful. Some of you who know him, he's very busy with the AGI, but always He's ready on hand whenever meetings are called. I want to thank all the other NEC members. Pastor Joseph Kweku, Pastor J.K. Agbemo. These two live far away from Accra from the onset, but they have been very, very regular. Pastor Philip Kwashi Akumi has also been very, very helpful. Permit me to also acknowledge the help we have received from Elder Dr. Nana KJC Ekoba Simpremu. Yeah, he's been our advisor and our motivator and our supporter in many areas. And how far we have come as a ministry, his help is not insignificant. We want to thank him and the family also for their help. Coming home to the team that I've been working with, I call them Special Force because they have been with us on our treks, in our meetings, all-night prayer meetings and all other aspects of the work. But they have always been behind the scenes. And I want to acknowledge Elder Kweku Asante Kechiri. He has been our media personnel. He has been our prayer leader and everything. Plus the two of Fusus, Kwame Fusu and Safu Fusu. They have been very, very helpful. Anytime we need them, they have never denied us of their services. May God bless them and their families. I want to thank my office staff, Sister Linda, and then the one who came to hold fort for her recently, Dorcas, and then the other staff member that we have been working with, Sister Rose, Kwesi Champon, and all the people on the floor. We want to acknowledge them and wish them God's blessings. And lest I forget, PEMEM office is located in the general headquarters of the Church of Pentecost. And as I appreciate even my office staff, I need to appreciate the entire head office because they have been very, very accommodating and very considerate. Sometimes we leave office at very late hours and sometimes we come very early. But they still cooperate with us, the security people and Elder Sam and all others. The transport, we thank all of them. Sometimes we need help and then they provide all these things for us. So we want to acknowledge the help of the head office staff, even the kitchen staff, those late night cookings for our meetings. We want to thank Auntie Dinah and all the people involved. We want to really come in with a special acknowledgement to all the area heads. Seriously, this work, if it have gone this far, then we cannot negate the help we have received from our area heads. Because though we are dealing directly with our area leaders, the area heads have been very, very instrumental. Let me talk about my area leaders. These are wonderful people. You know, area leaders are district pastors, bona fide district pastors. That's their actual work. But they also use part of their work to serve the ministry, the men's ministry. And I want to acknowledge all area leaders. In fact, if there is time, I should have been mentioning names. But you know, time is not a luxury. So every area head or every area leader, for that matter, wherever you are, receive God's blessing for every service that you have rendered for the success of PEMEM. And I believe, like Paul said, your reward will not be denied you. And I believe that this reward will not just end up with you, but it will be generational. It will come to your children, your children's children, and all those people who will come after you. Now, coming home, I want to acknowledge the cooperation I've received from my family, my children, and especially my wife. Office work is different from field work, and sometimes there are a lot of quick actions that we need to take, but they have been very accommodating when we need to travel at late notice. I want to thank my children. I want to thank Mama Rosina for her prayer support and advice and counsel, and for her boldness in really standing in for us whenever we need that balance. God bless all of them and all of us together, that whatever we have done, it will attract God's blessings, not just for us, but for us and our generation. And may the work of the men's ministry continue to thrive. May we be men as God created us to be. May we be leaders who don't lead from behind, but we lead from the front. May we be examples to others to follow, so that in the end we may receive the ultimate reward from the Chief Shepherd. God bless us all. Amen.
no benya. Yes,